No move for Bebsie as per usual on the Thursday nights. And I would like this first half under if Chris Jones is in the lineup. There's Thursday night. Let's move to Saturday night action. While these two games are going on, I will be live at SoFi myself for the LA Bowl. Utah State, Oregon State. Wasn't what I was planning, but I'll make the best of it. I'm excited. Las Vegas Raiders, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 6-7, 3-3 on the road to Cleveland Browns, 7-6, 5-2 at home. We're at First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio. 39 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 17-mile-per-hour winds. By the way, not Flush on saying on that big Thursday night that also a great live betting. If both score, the live total will fly up and grab that under. Well put. All right, well, let's start with the market here in the first Saturday nighter. 43.5 total. It opens at Pinnacle. It's now down to 40s. There's even a 39.5 at a dice game book that we won't mention. Cleveland opening up as 6.5-point favorites. Well, you probably read the news today. They've been hammered by COVID, and it has moved to 3. We are now 3-point favorites. I am Prince of the City. Well, we think we are. We are planning on it. But right now, things are getting a little out of control. But we plan to fly out on Friday. We could always fly out. It was just driving across the border was the issue. But now we can do both. Let's take a look at where the cash lies in this Raiders spot. 3,908 tickets in. 54% of the tickets, 70% of the cash on the Cleveland Browns. 58% of tickets, 73% of the cash on the under, and it's dropped all the way down to 20.5. The Raiders coming off a disastrous 48-9 loss at the Chiefs on Sunday. It was 35-3 at the half. They turned the ball over 5 times, 4 fumbles, 1 pick. It was the largest margin of victory in the series that began in 1960. In 126 games, that is the largest margin of victory between these two teams. The Chiefs have just beaten them up this year, outscored them 89-23 in 2 meetings this year. Derek Carr was 33 of 45, 263 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and lost a fumble. I mean, I've said it a bunch of times, but I'm really impressed with how he's played all season long. Hunter Renfrow, 13 catches for 170 yards and a TD. He did lose a fumble, but no other receivers did anything. Josh Jacobs ran 9 times for just 24 yards. He did catch 5 passes for 46 yards and lost a fumble. 4th fumble was lost by Zay Jones. They managed 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Quarterback Trayvon Mullen was helped off the field in the 3rd quarter. He'd been out since week 4 with a toe injury. It sucked watching him go down. Foster Moreau day-to-day with a muscle strain. Max Crosby's dealing with a calf injury, but he is expected to play. Tight end Darren Waller, defensive end Carl Nassib, linebackers Denzel Perryman, we know how important he is, and Patrick Onwuasor were inactive last week and are listed as questionable this week. Birdie says, huge overreaction here. Browns D intact. Says, only real piece is Landry so far. I'm going to go over all of these guys who are out. Don't worry. One thing I do know is Derek Carr sucks in bad weather. This is from Birdie, and he says, I bet Browns -6 now. I'll bet them again if this line drops more. So it's funny that you mentioned that because in part of our capping, we make bets based on injury expectations. And most of the time they've worked out for me. And this isn't an injury. This is obviously COVID issues. But we are dealing with all 8 of these players I'm about to announce are vaccinated. And this game is Saturday. And it's possible that the -3 on the Cleveland Browns right now is a gift. It's possible that is, and it's possible that will be my conclusion after we break down this game. Browns place 8 players on the reserve COVID list. 4 offensive starters, Pro Bowl wide receiver Jarvis Landry, offensive guard Wyatt Teller, tight end Austin Hooper. Remember, Landry and Hooper were the touchdown catches in their win over the Ravens. Left tackle Jedrick Willis Jr., defensive end Tack McKinley, punt returner Jojo Natson, backup guard Drew Forbes, reserve tight end Ross Travis also were placed on the list. I should also let you guys know, and I know a bunch of you do, that I have 4 futures on the Browns and division and over 9.5 wins. The 9.5 wins is pretty important to me. The division is less important, and then the AFC Super Bowl were smaller bets. I believe it's just $100. I'd have to double check, but they're just for fun, really. Landry and Hooper lead the Browns and those were my only AFC or conference Super Bowl bets. Landry and Hooper are the 2 leaders for the Browns in receptions. 38 for Landry, 33 for Hooper. Teller, who's also on this list, just signed a 4-year extension worth $56.8 million. Wills is Cleveland's first-round pick last year. He's been a starter at left tackle for 2 seasons. And as I said, all 8 players are vaccinated. So let's go over those rules again. Vaccinated players can return only after producing 2 negative tests 24 hours apart. Unvaccinated players like Alex Mattison on the Vikings must sit a minimum of 10 days. Now, that's not all. David Njoku and Anthony Walker, their tight end and linebacker, were placed on the reserve COVID list last week, and they missed Sunday's 24-22 win over the Ravens, and they haven't been activated yet, so that makes 10 players. In the win, the Browns were up 24-6 at the half, had to desperately hang on for the win. I didn't like it. I didn't like not cashing that bet. It made me extremely angry. Baker Mayfield was 22 of 32, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He didn't score a point in the second half. That also made me very angry. Donovan Peoples-Jones caught 5 passes for 90 yards, so we know that he's going to be in the lineup at this point. Landry, 5 receptions, 41 yards. Hooper, 5 catches for 30 yards. Grant Delpit was all over the field, 11 tackles. They had 4 sacks, 8 quarterback hits as a group. Myles Garrett had a strip sack, scoop, and score. The defense held Baltimore to 1 of 12 on third down, but did allow them to go 3 of 4 on fourth down. Kareem Hunt hurt his ankle while making a third down catch in the first quarter. It was his second game back after missing 5 with a calf injury. He's listed as doubtful. So let's cut Kareem Hunt off this game as well. Harrison Bryant. So let's say Njoku's out. Let's say Hooper's out. So let's say we're going without Hooper and Njoku. Well, goddamn, perfect timing for Harrison Bryant to come back into the lineup. So he returned to practice, and he's expected to be there. Quarterback Troy Hill, doubtful. Wide receiver Anthony Schwartz, cornerback Greg Newsome, safety Ronnie Harris, all inactive last week. List is questionable this week. I can't wait to hear your breakdown, Bebsie. I'm sorry for my long introduction, but I think that we might have an opportunity to bet the Browns at a discounted price here. Take it away.
I think we do, and I think I'm going to. Listen, what I just said about the Vegas Raiders applies in this game as well. Yes, the healthy Kansas City Chiefs are a much more formidable opponent than the ailing Cleveland Browns, but I'm just watching a lost Vegas Raiders team, and it's worth noting what Birdie said about Carr in bad weather as well, but also the fact that their defense is still intact. And like you mentioned, we might be able to get some of these players back. I just see a Raiders team that is nosediving, as they often have at the end of seasons recently. And look, they've been through more than any other team in the NFL this year, and it's showing. It's starting to wear on them. Even with the COVID issues with Cleveland, I still think you get a lot of these players back. And given the fact that they're vaccinated, they're pro athletes on top of it. I don't know how sick they're going to be. It's not like when teams had COVID last year and they didn't practice and they still got their players back, but their players couldn't really play because COVID was still kicking the shit out of people then. I think it's a little different. I think this is a great value spot for the Browns, and I'm going to move on them here.
I think so too. Slats says, love that breakdown from Dr. Feelgood. Just bet Browns -3. Before we do this, Twatty, who's in our chat right now, could you expand, if possible, why you like the Raiders money line? I would be very interested to hear that. Let's go. Brandon says, you get a positive. You get a positive. Everybody gets a positive. And Bebsie, we have something special for you here that you're a part of, Bebsie.
Everybody in the audience, now listen to me carefully, is being given a special package, and I don't want you to open it. Do not open it. Cameras are on you, so do not open until I tell you. All right, open your boxes. Open your boxes. 1, 2, 3.
You get a steak. 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 Everybody gets a steak.
He does owe us many steaks. Bebsie. You are in on the steak cash. Twatty says Baker is terrible. Yes, Baker is. I don't know if he's terrible because he's not putting his team at risk very often.
Yeah, he's not terrible. He's just not any good. There's a difference there. Baker doesn't make his teams win. Baker just doesn't make his teams lose.
I think that's right. I think that's well put. I agree with that. He's. We talk about Mahomes looking like such a veteran. You know, Baker sort of is looking a little bit like a veteran out there. He's just not looking very good. You know what? I agree wholeheartedly with this sentiment. And this is a risk. We are making a bet here on a Browns team that we're hoping is going to be healthier by the time push comes to shove. I'm going to pull up Circa right now because they've been giving out really nice odds lately. And anybody in America, they do have limits. So, you know, if you're doing this for a living and your unit size is over a K, there's going to be times where you're going to get stopped by them. But if you're not, they're giving out really nice odds. So I'm just going to check them out here. But I think we move on the Browns. You can get -3 at -104. That's the best line available. It's better than Circa. So let's do this. So Bebsie, you want it? Bebsie?
I do want it.
All right. Browns -3 at -104. That's available at Pinnacle right now. And I am going to make this bet tonight. I'm going to make this bet tonight. Skins Nation says, I don't understand how you can get the inconsistent Chargers. Doesn't add up. You know, Skins Nation, a part of it is the dreaded road favorite, as Nuke puts it. So that's a huge part of that whole story. Is just the vividness bias and what we see from divisional home dogs. I'm not going to take the Chargers, but it's going to keep me off of the Chiefs here. Okay.
I think you're right to stay off the Chiefs, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm interested in the under if Jones is in. Nuke Warrior says, after last weekend, I'm off the Browns for the moment. Let's not let that happen. I mean, if you've been watching me play the Lakers like a fiddle, it's every time, every single cappers, I cannot bet the Lakers again. That's when we jump in and they cash for us really easily. So let's just it was a bad loss we took, Nuke, and we didn't deserve to take that loss. And, you know, when you're up at like we were at the half, you expect to cash that, especially when the Ravens don't have their starting quarterback. But let's not let that not add money to our pockets if it's the right situation here.